Hey, this is Troy Erickson, and today we have a very unique interview. So, what I did is I recently talked to one of my students, Ernie, who is currently working in the tech space remote, and he's transitioning into copywriting. And we decided that we do a live workshop together just on my YouTube channel, talking about some of the challenges that people face when they go from, working a regular day job and getting into copywriting and trying to pinpoint a few different areas that you can do to improve your time management, which can therefore help you spend less time working and put in a few more hours here on copywriting and eventually make that full transition. So I'd like to welcome Ernie Trevino.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem, Ernie. So tell everybody a little bit about yourself. So you live in Texas and you have, a remote like tech job. How did you get into copywriting?
So the way I got into copywriting was I had a house in Austin and I was moving to New York. Just after COVID, I wanted to start traveling more and seeing the world. And so when I sold my house, about a day or two before the final day that we're going to sign all the paperwork, they notified me that they needed to push it another week. And I already had told the utility companies to turn everything off. And so I got to stay at my friend Brandon's house, who at the time was in Copy Accelerator. And Luke, a big copywriter, was coming by. He's going to stay at his house. They're going to do a mastermind in Austin. And they were going to go to a marketing party event as well the day before. And he's like, you can stay with me, but I want you to go to these events with me. And so little did I know that those events were going to literally begin to change the trajectory of my life. And so I got to see meet Stefan there. Troy, you may have been there, but I know I met you at some other masterminds as well through that program. And so ever since then, I've been going to the masterminds and just trying to just to gain some traction and to make the transition from tech to marketing and email list management and copywriting entirely.
Yeah, 100%. It's cool too that your friend kind of, forced you and said, "Hey, you're coming with me."
Yeah,
There's a whole nother side to work life. But what are some of the challenges that you faced when it comes to like having a regular job and then also trying to pursue a passion of copywriting on the side?
so definitely time management. I attended a meeting with through the Genesis program with Brian Spirinello, and he's very detailed. And so he has like a little cube. It's like a tracker of your time, and depending on what side it's facing up, you can keep track of what you're doing, what you're working on, and it helps you organize yourself. And so that's one thing I'm looking into. I definitely use the Pomodoro method a lot, just working for like 25 minutes on, 5 minutes off. But time management is real big. And then also, like, if you have a regular 9 to 5 job, some of the meetings are during the day. So just making sure that in the evening you're catching up with all the material.
Yeah, 100%. And just being able to like recognize too the times when, you're spending too much time on one thing or like doing something that's maybe not like the most productive, and like quickly having that shift is really important. So basically what I'm trying to say is like self-awareness. And that's one thing that helps me a lot too, is just constantly like throughout the day, if I ever feel a little confused, I'll write down like and remind myself the biggest tasks that I'm supposed to be doing. Now, sometimes that can be, a little bit conflicting if you have to work during the day. So what are some things that, you're doing right now in order to try and spend more time on copywriting, like those really important things that excite you and really motivate you, but you're still trying to do good at your main job? Like, so what are some of the ways that you're able to kind of like smoothly transition from one thing to the other without, getting lackadaisical with either of them?
I find that a big thing is just sitting down and putting your hands on your keyboard, your fingers, and typing. And so if I make time before work, at least 30 to 45 minutes, again during lunch, and again after work, just those 3 times, you're able to get a lot more done than you thought. And so it's better than nothing. And so that's a start right there, but also being a part of your program and Genesis as well. They keep you accountable, you receiving those daily emails. Hey, this is due, or work on this, or have you thought about this? That helps out a lot, so it's a matter of for those of you soccer fans out there, I know the big games going on. And so an analogy someone gave me, it's like you're trying to kick the ball into the goal, and you're not going to make all of them, but all you need to make is one. And so that's kind of what I'm doing right now, just staying as active as possible and just firing some shots, see what lands.
Yeah, 100%. And that's a good point too, with the goal analogy, because sometimes I get really hard on myself when I don't like crush all the goals that I planned for that day. But I like the strategy of like before work and then maybe like lunch and then after work, for example. And one thing that could help too, because like I said, I want to do a live workshop, right? So it's like one of the things that really helps me that I think could also help with you and for a lot of our listeners is just like the day before is really where everything starts. And every night before I go to bed, I literally can't sleep unless I write down all the things that I need to do the next day. And I've also learned over time to not try to do more than like 1 to 3 things each day. So maybe like before bed, just writing down like, okay, these are my goals for tomorrow when it comes to copywriting and my side hustle. Here's the one that I want to spend, like the most important one that I want to spend 30 to 60 minutes on before work. And usually that's going to be like client acquisition, like reaching out to people. And then maybe the second most important thing midday is taking your current clients and making sure that you can send out an email for them, or you can type a piece of copy, or you can do whatever you need to do. And then toward the end of the day, just more of like, client maintenance, or like finishing up the things that you weren't able to do in one of the first 2 slots of the day. So I think that would be an awesome strategy as well. Have you ever
Yeah,
tried something like that?
I'll definitely do that. Troy, quick question. When did you get into copy? Like what year was that?
Yeah, so my first dabbled on the internet in probably 2016 when I was like in between colleges. So I basically took a semester off, and then my mom's side of the family has like a really old school hardware store and lumberyard. So I just like made a website for them. I was like, all right, well, I kind of want to get online and don't want to have a regular job. So I started there, and I like dabbled a little bit with like affiliate sites and things like that. But then in college, like towards the end, I was more so thinking about like, gosh, I want to make a career out of this. And I went on Upwork, like where you are now, and just started like getting clients and building relationships on there. And, it takes a handful of people to find somebody that you really vibe with, where you just connect. And I ended up finding one of those people who ended up starting like a little Facebook ad agency with me. And this is like 2019 where I like officially went out on my own. But a lot of people don't know that before that, it's like I wasn't able to dedicate all my time to copy and email until 2019. But prior to that, it was similar to having a job because I was in school and I had to basically divide my time. So there's like 2 to 3 extra years where I was like a complete beginner. And then in 2019 is like when I officially started on my copy journey. So to your point, where I imagine you're going with that is like a lot of people, they give up too easily because they just think that they see somebody else and they're like, wow, that person succeeded really fast. But in reality, it's like before they got into the thing they succeeded at, there were a lot of like little stepping stones on the way there, a lot of different things tried. So I always
Yeah.
try to, mention to people that before I got into like copywriting and email in 2019, I experimented with some other things before that as well. And even though like I'm not popular in those things per se, they all really taught me a lot and they got me into email. So hopefully
I feel
that's
like
helpful.
I feel like that's where I'm at right now. You said you started like in 2016, but 2019 is when you really began to take off, I guess you could say. And I feel like that's where I'm at right now, those first couple of years. Um, but yeah, I mean, so far all the programs, I think they've kind of helped bridge a lot of the gaps that, normally would take much longer to to bridge, so that's a really good thing of having your program and the Genesis program. So
Yeah, 100%. And one thing that I liked when I saw your copywriting.org interview is like you already have a niche picked out. And a lot of people will ask me, they're like, hey, what niche is the most profitable? And they don't really even they don't even think about like what they enjoy. But you specifically mentioned golf. Is that the only niche that you write in? Is that just your favorite? Are you a golfer yourself?
I like golf. I don't get to play it as often anymore. Finance is also something that interests me. I have a degree in finance. And I work in tech, so I can speak to a lot of the tech stuff out there as well.
Yeah. So another thing that I want to bring up too, is obviously in the certification program, this, some of our viewers know this, some don't, but we talk a lot about Facebook groups. We talk a lot about forums. We talk about, you can find a lot of clients in there, but a lot of people, they're like, oh my gosh, I already tried that. But what they don't realize is that trying different groups that are outside of copywriting can work really well too. So if you go out and you find, a group, whether it's on Facebook or literally any other platform, LinkedIn, it could be a forum, website, whatever. There are groups of people who run like golf themed businesses. And as opposed to going into a copywriting group, you could literally just go into a golf group and you will be the only person in that group, most likely, who writes copy. Or for example, a lot of our students, especially ones that, they don't write in English as their first language, they'll go to different country copywriting groups. And they're like the only one who's really good at copy in that group. So another thing that I think would work really well too, with this workshop and with anybody else who's listening, is just like going into different styles of groups, whether it's the niche, whether it's the country, whether it's literally anything else, where there's at least one relatable thing. So whether it's golf, whether it's finance, whether it's something, and just being the only copywriter in there. And obviously you want to be in front of business owners. Also going to events, if there's any local ones, obviously that can go really well. But that is one thing that I would try too. And best of all, you might already know some people in those niches, given that, you have a finance background and that you have a golf background. So definitely consider that as well, because that's like a very low hanging fruit for a lot of people.
Yeah, that's a good one for sure.
Yep. So tell us a little bit more about you. So obviously, we're workshopping some things. We're trying to like find you some extra time, and like basically cut down the amount of time it takes to really get like some solid retainers in the door, right? So somebody's listening to this, and they want to know more about you. Let's say, for example, they have a golf business or they have a finance business. So you said those are the only two niches you write in. Are you doing emails? Are you doing landing pages? Are you doing sales letters? Like, what is your favorite to work with?
Emails right now.
Okay, sweet. And you're doing full list management, or you're doing copy and you're getting into the list management part?
Doing copy, getting into the email list management.
Okay, sweet. So another thing too that I would consider doing for you and for anybody else who's in a similar position is just going out, maybe like buying your own name as a domain as well, and just creating a very simple, like, okay, here's some samples of mine, maybe like 2 or 3, and then here's like a short bio about me, and here is, a review from somebody I've worked with in the past. And like a super simple website on like Wix or something, probably costs like $100. And then that way, when anybody is like inquiring about you, just boom, you send them the link right away and they have all that stuff. And then like at the bottom is your like calendar button. And that's something that I'm even implementing as well, because a lot of people will book calls with our team. And then as soon as they do, we kind of have a page that's got some info about the call, but a lot of people get on the call and they're like, hey, I want to see your samples. Hey, I want to see a referral. I want to see a testimonial. And we need to do a better job ourselves of giving them that information before they're even talking to us. So it's like they're, pre-sold and they can see the results. So I would definitely consider doing that as well. Super simple website. And I think that would pay dividends as well. And just having like a way to also build your personal SEO on Google. So when somebody Googles your name, you're the first one that shows up instead of some other random person's Facebook or Instagram account.
Yeah, no, that's something that I don't know why I haven't done that yet. But it's something that I've done in other aspects of my life or for other people working in tech. So, yeah, that's something I'll look into right after this call.
Yeah, 100%. So since, I appreciate you coming on doing a live workshop, because obviously a lot of copywriters are shy on video and whatnot, and, being able to put yourself out there really helps, and just being able to be seen by more people. Do you have any other questions while you've got us here that you think might help other people as well?
No, not at this moment.
Cool. All right. Well, in the meantime, what is the best way for people to get in touch with you? Is it on social media or just the email address?
My email address, which is my last name, Trevino Ernie @gmail.com, or on any of the Facebook copy groups, or to the Genesis program, or to your program as well. I'm involved in those.
Okay, sounds good. So again, if you are looking for a copywriter in the golf or finance space, and you want somebody who's working their butt off and is in my program, go ahead and email Ernie. We are going to put his email in the description just so you can see it. And yeah, Ernie, thanks for coming on here and being vulnerable, and just really being able to relate to so many other people, and, not being afraid to literally put your face out there.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
No problem.